everyone. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about information literacy. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ursula Fabiano. I am your technology specialist. I'm here for any of your tech needs, so you can find me on Twitter at Miss Ursi or email me at ufabiano at psust.us, and I can help you out with anything that you are wondering about. So you might be wondering about information literacy. Well, what is it? Why is it important? Information literacy is a person's ability to search and locate information that's relevant on the internet, also to look at that information and decide its credibility, and to give proper credit to the person or the creator of that website or whatever material that you're using. And it's really an important skill for the students to learn. Right now, we have so much information available on the internet, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. The great thing about it is it's all right there for them. The bad thing, or the difficult thing about it, is that they have to learn how to recognize that credibility of the website to decide if it's worth their time or if it's something valuable. So, the other thing is about information literacy. It's really the foundation for lifelong learning. What we realize is constantly people are searching for things on the internet. We see on Facebook, people are posting things that might not always be true. And if we can't learn how to recognize those things, whether or not it's accurate or if it's misinformation, it's going to really help us with our learning for the rest of our lives. Now, we can talk to our students about some strategies to locate relevant information, and what we can do is help them improve their search results. That's really the first step. So, there's a great article about using the internet effectively, and these are some of the steps that they recommended for improving your search results. So, what you can do is first analyze the topic. So, think about the who, what, why, where, and when of the topic. And after you've analyzed it, think about the specific who, what, where, why that you're going to use for it. And from that point, you can brainstorm those ideas, gather those keywords from your brainstorm. And that brainstorm could be anything from like a pre-write to creating a list of information that you're looking for, or it could be a thinking map. We use thinking maps all the time. Have the students use their thinking maps, and from those thinking maps, they can gather those keywords for their searches. Before they start searching too, the last one, number 3, they can think about the questions that they want to have answered. So what exactly is it that they're looking for within their search? Do they want to know specifically, let's say they're searching Walt Disney. So do they want to know about his life? Do they want to know about his death? Do they want to know about what inspired him? So asking those questions can really narrow down the search that they're performing. There's also strategies that we can talk to our students about to check the credibility of the sources, which is going to be, the next step above just searching. We want to make sure that those are credible sources. So Scholastic had some really great recommendations for teaching the students how to check for credibility. So first off, they say, check the source. Well, yeah, that's what we want to do, but we want to check it by looking at if the information is up to date. What's the date of the website? Is it old? So we want to make sure it's new and up to date. Is it secure? Is it asking a lot of private information? We don't want to have to give that kind of information about ourselves on there. Is the information in depth? So is this source giving just short answers, not anything very informative? So if it's just very broad, it might not be the best source to use. And also, is it coming from a trusted source? So we need to look at the authors to see if it's worth our time. We also want to ask good questions about the source. So that's actually when we're searching. We want to ask good questions to make sure that we have more credible sources coming up, and going just beyond the surface. So when you're searching a website or you're having your students search, um, make sure they're not just choosing the very first one that pops up. A lot of times those first ones are ads anyway, so we want to make sure we show them not to use just an ad, but we also want them to look at a few different sources and compare that information, and that can also help them check to see if it's valid, because if one site says one thing and another one says something else, we really got to consider which one is telling the truth and go further. It's also important to teach the students to be patient, because they might not always get the information they're looking for right away. So they need to be patient with that and not give up, because the answers are out there. We just need to find them. So, on some other things for credibility, use credible search engines. So, for example, Google Scholar is a great source for scholarly material. There's ProQuest and LexisNexis. Those are library databases. Those ones you have to pay for, but there are other library databases that you might have access to, or the students might have access to, that can be very beneficial for getting credible sources. Now, we also said part of information literacy is giving credit where credit is due. So we want to make sure we have an understanding of copyright law. So most of the material on the internet is subject to copyright law, and we want to make sure that we are giving credit to the people who own it. It's there to protect their rights and their personal property. So we need to make sure that we are using proper citations and teaching the students to use proper citations, and getting permission if we're using something that is not part of fair use policy, which for fair use policy in the field of education, we can use the fair use policy to help us and use things, excuse me. And this policy, it allows us to use somebody else's work under certain circumstances. We can use a portion of the work, or we can add new meaning to the work to make it original. So changing it a little bit, reworking it or remixing it to use it in a new way. And as long as we're not using it for profit, we mostly don't have an issue with using some of those things. So I created a infographic for you. So if you're interested in finding out more information about fair use and copyright law, you can go ahead and click on that, check it out, so you can get a little bit more information there. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you for listening. You can reach me on Twitter or through my email, and let me know if there's any other information you'd like about information literacy. Thank you so much.